Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Hello all, how are you doing? Our weather is a little freaky. It's going between cold and hot up on the East Coast. Hope you're having better weather than us in the other states and other countries, wherever you are listening from. But all in all, I hope you are having some great sex while doing that. Because there are ways you could just, gets cold, an extra little bit of snuggling and cuddling and snuggling, make up words as you go along. And positions for that matter, but when it's warm, take them all off. Your choice. You might want that little extra sweat in there. While we are out there just enjoying, or at least trying to enjoy the fall weather. Also with this crazy election going on, or has gone on, and still a little bit up in the air. It's just a little too quiet for me. But hey, hope you all did get out there and do your due diligence and help the process along. Because we are going to talk sex talk as usual here. So we're going to forget about everything out there and we're going to get ourselves tantalizingly ready to either masturbate or to have sex. It's one of the other. You pick your choice depending on what is going on and what time it is in your neck of the woods. So, we don't want to sit in sex or be in sex or the act of sex and doing all this stuff with no words. There's a little bit of vulnerability there where you open yourself up to be able to feel. But you want to put a little, words into motion as well as the body. So talking dirty is one of the things we go to. But, that can be really nerve-wracking because what if you say something and your partner doesn't like what you say or just looks at you funny? What do you say then? What do you do then? You go through a lot of emotions sometimes when it comes up to that. You're nervous, you're sweating, you freeze up because you don't know. Your brain is just on a stutter. It's like stopping going because you don't know what to say. But, there are those little things that are talking dirty during sex, which are always showstoppers and always turn-ons. Obviously, lick me or do me. Coming right out and screaming dick me is, I I don't think that's going to be, well, okay, let me just say that might work for a lot of people. But, there are other ways to say it. And not, getting the words right, or at least you don't think they do. But we are thinking these things during sex. I want to say this, or they're saying something to you, or you don't know how to respond to them. It's hard. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. And being in the midst of that sexual act, and you just want it to get even more steamier and more OMG. Things to do it beforehand when you're in the middle of like foreplay or out of play or, non-penetrative sex. Talk dirty. Try them out. Try out those words so that when you get into the act of it's more of using that dirty talk to just wake up those sex brain cells in there and get your brain a moving and getting it into it awakens your body to, be sexy and feel sexy. Because what's your brain doing when you're talking sexy or talking dirty? It's actually imagining that actually being done. And it becomes even more of a turn on for you. There is such a vulnerability there. Obviously, our brain is the most powerful sex organ in our body. It's one of the biggest computers out there. And how we use it is great. It overpowers because it tells our genitals, hey, this is sexy. Oh my God, this is turning me on. And it stimulates that sex drive. And it's where where the sex drive really stems from. So there's a limit. There's just the right amount of sex or dirty talk that you can say, which will just get that your mind in overexcited, which will send all those signals to all those erogenous zones, all those genitals. It will just drive you crazy. Obviously, the more comfortable you are with talking about sex, the more relaxed, satisfying, tantalizing your sex life will be. Because with dirty talk, obviously, it is another way to get you aroused. That's why there's that sexting and everything, because you're imagining. You're already filling your brain up with these sexual things going on. And it's turning on the inside, that sexual drive. And now, if there is like one in particular sex act that you like, and you are talking dirty, you're talking about that in the the dirty talk way, that is going to make that sex act even more alluring for you. Shall I say? You're going to get your mental and your physical it's going to be acting together to satisfy you before sex. A little in passing, if you're passing in the morning, you throw a little dirty talk out there. Your partner's like, whoa, okay. Knowing that you two have to go to work too. But we now ask ourselves, and this is what we're going to talk about today with a few other topics, but how to stop that dirty talking. Because it takes a lot to go into it. It might not be that small, because there might be something that you say in your partner or that person that you're in that sexual act with might not accept it or be, they may just be turned off by it. And with women, if you say something to them, you could really they shut down their body so quickly. Women are really known, You could be in the middle of a peace stream, and then something scares them, they cut it right off. Because that was one of the biggest jokes going when we were kids, because as a female we're able to do this. Guys always were pissed because we could do this and they couldn't. I'm sure now it's a little different. Men are a little more controlling of their lovely male organ. But when talking dirty, you need to really make sure that they are into it as much as you. And for the most part, they generally are. 95%. I'm going to give a little bit more of a wider percentage on that. But, you always want to proceed with caution, starting out slow. Now, not everybody is all into that, or you could say something that might trigger something to them, and it may just turn you off. Now, telling if dirty talk is a good idea, the best indicator, it is appreciated, and you get talked dirty back. So that's how you know that it is effective. And some things like, I love being in your pussy. And then she'll respond, I love your penis inside of me. That means that your partner is into this. Okay? You're going in the right direction. This is a positive. So, don't get over, what's it called there? Confident in everything that you say, because not everything is going to be well received when you dirty talk. So remember that. With this, and if you know you are on the right track, then comes the nonverbal responses with the body, your partner moaning, your partner's body language, and pay attention to what you see your partner doing, and also realize, work with it and say things, see what works and doesn't work, because, if you're in a first relationship, obviously if you've been in a relationship for a long time, dirty talk is part of the process. But if you're just meeting someone, your dirty talk may be a little bit more higher than that person who's coming in, because you are finding out who each other is in every way possible. Obviously, you're going to introduce the dirty talk into your relationship if it is new. And the best way to start dirty talking is just try it out. Throw something small in there. Don't go over, but do throw something in there. Like, say if you're in the middle of the deed, do something really nice, but a little dirty. Like, you could say to your partner, oh, your body gets me so hard. That's really a blanket one to the, whereas you're not really particularly picking up one thing about your partner. This is an overall thing. Now, that is the male version of that. The female is, your body makes me so wet. So remember that. You can do this. And these are things, those are things that everybody loves to hear, because we are self-conscious of our bodies during sex. We get up in the morning. Most women put on makeup. They wear those little tight clothes that accentuate their bodies. Little pair of tight leggings, little body shapers in there, to get that perfect hourglass figure. And then the bra that lifts and separates. Hey, what goes in the opposite direction? Where is immense cleavage? So, but you take all this stuff off. This is our way of attracting. You take that stuff off now. You've peeled back that layer. So remember that we are vulnerable. Especially this, not only for women, but for men. Men who will turn around and put a sock in their pants to make it look like they got a large Johnson. Buddy, it's either going to fall out or it's going to be, you're going to be found out. At least with the women, it's a little bit easier. Think of something else there, buddy. And it's funny because I know somebody who actually used to walk around with a dildo in their pants to make it look like they had this big junk in their pocket. And we would just always laugh. It was funny. But with Dirty Talk, and you're introducing it and you're getting more confident and comfortable with saying things, at this point, it's when you could come in and try a little bit more of a dirty talk and really like going into dirty talk as you suck that dick with you filthy scum or you slut and these are going really into it. This is where it's getting a little bit into that hard play with the BDSM and stuff like that. But saying those things, if you're really in the heat of it and you're getting to that climax and getting up there, saying something along that line or even cleaning that up so it makes it sound a lot easier, a lot better, like take it all or something, that will not be so offensive. And on that note, we are going to take our first break in the show. And when we come back, we will continue on with our first subject of how to talk dirty talk. So go get that drink, go get that snack, come back, get relaxed, and I will meet you back here after the break for more sex talk with Andra.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back. I hope you had a nice break in it. Maybe you finished up early. If not, I am back to give you some more dirty talk. Now, how to dirty talk? What to say? Remember, we are vulnerable when we are in the middle of sex in the bedroom because we have peeled off our layers and we are bare. So, first rule in dirty talk: make sure you talk about sex first. Try out little small things, but keep it positive. Always keeping a positive tone in your voice. Unless, obviously, if you and your partner have talked and that it is okay to be a little bit on the negative degradation side of it, whereas you are passing those boundaries. But do talk about it first. Or another thing is, if your partner starts it out that way and you're not offended because you wanted to go in that direction anyway, that opens up the door. But again, things that you may say may not be what they want to hear. But try and keep it, that way, always starting out positive. There are a little bit things like, starting out positive would be, do you like that? You're such a dirty girl, or you're such a dirty guy. The dirty is in there. It is a very positive dirty, so that works. It can be moved, or it can be interpreted and turned into a more negative thing to say, like taking that whole sentence and you like that, ask that question. Watch the body language of your partner, listening to the moans of her or him. One word, you're saying the same thing, but it's upping it so that it's really getting dirty, and now the minds are really rolling. People in sex, or while during sex, being slightly humiliated actually is more of a turn on than anything. But always don't assume that it is, especially with a new partner, because that first sexual encounter, unless you're really comfortable with yourself, is going to be the experimenting, what can I get away with? Sex time. So, but always do ask, don't assume, because that little bit of turning that sentences into dirty talk and just degrading it a bit might be just a little bit too much right then and there. Don't try to clean it up is the next one, which is totally the opposite of what the first one is. What in essence is dirty talk? But dirty talk, it's supposed to be dirty. Clean it up, you're definitely going to be, it's going to be funny. You're going to get a laugh. It's going to be comical. Unless, of course, whatever, I mean, there are things like your ass looks so good bouncing on my slang word cock, actual word penis. Now, there are two ways of looking at that and cleaning it up. Your butt, it's so funny. Your buttocks looks so good bouncing on my genitals. Now, there's two ways of looking at that. Obviously, the first one is what you wanted. It is hot. It gives off that connotation. The second one is cleaning it up. You're putting particular words which you wouldn't find unless you were in the doctor's office or out in public talking to someone. So, do keep it dirty. Don't try and clean it up or anything like that. Don't wait until you're in bed to talk dirty, because that's not always where it is. When you're in the bed, you can intensify it, because that's when it makes the sex act much more vavoom. Okay? It could be little slang words. And it doesn't even always have to involve these slang words about body parts or graphic details. It could be so many other things. You can, I want you so bad in a text message. You're portraying what you want from this person and how you're feeling right at that moment. And it's getting them in the mood. So, and it also sets the mood for later. So remember, that's those little things that you dirty talking in a text. Send one, see what your response is. Let them suffer a little. And, they're probably sitting back going, wow, they didn't respond. There's a little bit that they're thinking about it. They may have not responded yet, but they're thinking about it. Because your brain is probably going, oh my God, who saw that? I know that person, my partner's in work or something. Oh my God, who saw that? So there's these things like that. Adapt your dirty talk to your partner, because obviously the dirty talk is going to be between the both of you. Okay. Now, if you have more than one partner, Obviously, well, it can go a little further, but we are talking about one-on-one here. Now, what to say during sex and what to do during sex have a lot to do with you and what your partner are into. Remember that. You have to be on the same line, on the same level. And those, what may have worked with somebody else may not work with this other partner, so remember that. Most men like to be called daddy, which is quite high on the percentage scale there, but you may have that one person that you came in, and you called them daddy because it worked with your last boyfriend, may not work with this boyfriend. So remember that. It might just take that, boner and make it go down, and then you got to work to get that boner back up. So don't, not being afraid to change a few things around with you, new partner to an old partner also opens the door for some things, new things with your partner and moving things in another direction of dirty talk. Do not use big words. We don't need a thesaurus, people. Dirty talk is not, some of the words are probably in the thesaurus, but we don't need the thesaurus, okay? Bedroom vocabulary, there isn't really an extensive one. You just need to, you probably read books, those romance novels and how they talked about the swelling of the member or the engorged member glands. That's a little weird. Weird talking. A lot of people, actually, it's funny because it's found that a lot of people hate the word moist. They keep it out of the little dirty talk there because obviously you want to use the word wet. But moist is still kind of sort of gives off that same connotation used in the right dirty talk sentence. So, keep it general. Okay? Keeping it general, it becomes more general and better to use. It's much easier to use. Especially, and this is where I'm telling you we are vulnerable, all of us in the bedroom, because we have taken off that layer of clothing that keeps us, hidden. And when talking dirty talk, throwing something in there about your partner's body, they may not be ready for that. So keep it general. You may like a part of their body, like their butt or their thick thighs. That is something that you might want to write it in there, because put it in there, but keep it general because they may be a little bit insecure about them, and easing that in and watching how your partner responds and actually building the confidence to show them that you actually love that feature about them will probably break down that vulnerability wall and help them to love it. Knowing that you love it, they'll be more apt to let you say something about it. But keeping it general, obviously don't put any size in there, no shape or whatever. As time goes on, that will come in. So keeping it general, I love touching your body. Very, very general. It encompasses it all. You're not just picking out one particular area when talking dirty. Now, things to say during sex when it comes to dirty talk. And obviously, a lot of people don't know what to say. So, obviously, we stop before sex. With the foreplay's going in there and everything. Some things to say. I need you right now. I can't wait to have you inside me. I can't wait to be inside you. So there you go, male, female way of doing it. I want to taste you instead of saying I want to go down and eat you up. These are really general and easier ways to do dirty talk, which are more receptive by the partner by you. I wish we were alone. The things I want to do to you. Okay? Just wait until we get home. Leaves it open for some serious imagination play. Guess what I'm wearing under these clothes? Gets the mind tantalizing with the genitals down there. Gets them awake. Tonight I want you to dominate me. Brings in a little bit of the BDSM and submissiveness, all that stuff like that. But it makes it sexually attractive. So that dirty talk does work. I'm going to tie you up when we get home. Okay. It's there. Still not extremely dirty. They could be holding your hands. Who's to say? I'm so hard or wet right now. Female, male. Some females even say, I'm so hard. Obviously with that little clitoris. Just looking at you makes me horny. And that is actually one of the best dirty talk lines there. Because not only is it becoming off, showing them that you really like what you see, but it, in a sense, can be a compliment because you have an effect on them, or your partner has an effect on you. So that's actually a very good one. Now, dirty talk during sex. Some things you can say, don't stop, because they are enjoying you. Deeper, hotter. These are things that are out there. Everybody says them. I want to make you come. Well, that is the goal here for that orgasm. I love your body. That one's always a showstopper. You feel so good. Same thing. No one makes me feel like you do. It's appreciation. Obviously, also use that particular line outside of the bedroom because it shows that you don't, the way they make you feel is also outside as opposed to just always be in the bedroom. What are they doing for you outside of the bedroom? So that one actually can be doubled. I want you to beg for it. Pull my hair. Spank me. These are all things that are pushing that BDSM line, but in a pleasurable way and not going overboard, because that might not be something that your partner is into. You've been a naughty girl or boy, depending on who it is. I love how hard or / wet you are, female, male, always. You like that, don't you? And that's basically putting it on them to give an answer and actually pulling a little bit of dirty talk out of them so you're feeling them out. And on that note, because we are going to move on to the after sex dirty talk, we are going to take a break here. So replenish that drink, replenish that snack, come back, get relaxed. If you don't want to move and you are in the middle of it, and playing with yourself, hey, just stay there. Keep it going. I will be back after the break for more Dirty Talk with Andra.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back. In our topic of dirty talk, we've talked about dirty talk before sex, dirty talk during sex. Now I want to talk about dirty talk after sex. Gotta keep it going, people. Because remember, after the sex, we are all coming down from that orgasm and that amazing sex that you just experienced. You want to keep it going and bringing it down to show how much you want more. So after sex, you can basically just say things like, that was amazing. You can even put in there some of the ones from during sex, but turning them a little bit with the dirty talk, saying, I just love your body so much. You don't know what it does to me. I want to do this again. There are things that you can say. Another thing is, you made me orgasm so hard. Put emphasis on that. I wish we could do this every night. That's what it is there for. I keep daydreaming about last night. You got them thinking when they're in work or whatever it is they are doing when they are away from you. And this is keeping it going. I can still taste you. And that's for the most part with a lot of things. You remember those things that you did, how it tasted, how it felt. You want more. Feel you inside me is the other part to that. I can feel you inside me. Two different things. I'm ready for round two when you are. Think about all the things that you can possibly say. There are a lot of things out there. If you don't know where to start, or this is new to you, start watching pornography, because actually they say a lot of things on there, especially the females will say things really filthy during the filthy scenes and all that stuff. It's either or. They flip-flop with each other. You can take that line from there and tweak it to what you want it to be and say. Or if the both of you are watching pornography and there's something that's said in there, and now you're in the middle of sex and they say what so-and-so said in the movie, that just opened up the door for you. Go ahead and say it. It is okay to be nervous with dirty talk, because you don't know what's going to be perceived as, oh my God, you passed the line, turn them off. Because once it's said, it's kind of sort of hard to bring it back and fix it. Because remember, you're in the middle of that act. You want to turn them on. And then you say this, which will just cut them off. So just try, and if you're thinking about one thing, and before it comes out of your mouth, try rewording it and bringing it out. Like a little bit. Don't just blurt it out either. Say it lowly. Because what are they going to say? They're going to say, well, oh, what did you say? Or whatever. Or they're going to say, whatever you said, just say it again. They might be that, there you go. That's how I want to get there. And it's actually turning them on. So there are those things that you can do, and that's what it's there. So really feeling out your partner and things like that is very, very important, because this dirty talk, this whatever you say, romantic, whatever, you're really trying to get into your core kinks. What are your kinky things? What's at the core of your kinkiness? Those core erotic feelings, what you really, really want to say and do. It's really one of those things that you are experiencing, or you are really feeling each other out, but also learning what things to say and not to say to one another, or what's going to be offensive. Okay, both to you or your partner. It's one or the other completely. Are we speaking different languages? No, we're not. We're actually speaking the same thing. You're just learning what's working for both of us. So we're going to tap into our core erotic feelings. What are these? These are the feeling one is seeking when hooking up with a partner or partners. There's more than one in there. Okay? It can be the feeling of being desired, of being subversive, or being naughty, whatever it is. Those are those core erotic feelings. These feelings are endless, and they are only limited by your own imagination. Sometimes your pocket, your wallet, depending on if there's going to be some sex toys involved. It is an essential feeling that you are looking to invoke or enhance during sex. This is the whole idea. We want to enhance that sexual thing. That dirty talk enhances it. Those core erotic feelings are enhancing it. It is important and at somewhat very necessary for a person to feel totally and completely engaged in a sexual activity. I mean, if they're not engaged in it, 10 to 1, they're just sitting there writing a grocery list while you're getting yourself off. They're spewing words out at you, and you're just thinking they're into it, and they're not. There are, and a lot of people all know these 5 love languages. And I'll briefly go over those. How's that sound? And those 5 love languages, and they do have meanings. Obviously, number one is words of affirmation. This expresses love with words that build up your partner. Verbal compliments. It doesn't have to be complicated. The shortest and simplest praises are the best and the most effective. And you learn it. Acts of service is number 2. Your partner might have this is something that, whereas that saying action speaks louder than words, the love language expresses itself by doing things that your partner, not just spouse, would like. And these are the little things: doing the laundry, making meals, taking care of the kids, giving you a break, picking things up while you're out, or even when you're out in the store buying something and you see something that reminds you of them and you pick it up. Little itty-bitty expressions. 3, receiving gifts. These obviously are materialistic, and they don't need to. But like I said, if you're out there and you're out in the store and you see something and boom, it makes you think of your partner, and you buy it and give it to them and say, while I was out getting such a day, I saw this and it made me think of you. I thought it was so cute. It makes your partner feel loved and appreciated. It lets them know that you're thinking about them when you're not with them, even though they know that. But this actually shows that it's actually true, and it's putting meaning to those words, those thoughts. 4 is quality time. Love language is all about the undivided attention, turning off the TVs, the smartphone, all the electrics, all the other distractions that would be there, just turning them off and just getting in tune with your partner. That's what it is. And the last of the love languages is physical touch. Always a good one. This is actually the physical touch has the most impact, because you're showing that you want to be with them, you want to touch them, their body is something that you want to feel and explore. It is that little holding hands, the kissing, the hugging. It shows safety in the relationship, and that you are connected. Very, very important. So when thinking about core erotic feelings, these are very similar. The only difference is the erotic portion, the erotic experiences of it. It's what you need to express or have expressed towards you in order for those experiences to be fully engrossing. They give it an example: to become spank bank material. It's so cute. And it's not a bad way of saying that in Dirty Talk either. There are some few kinks that they go over. They reverse engineered them into being understood as a core erotic feelings. And number 1 on their list was body or body part worship. Okay, potentially someone seeking out desire or to be valued as highly important. There's going to be that one part. Everybody has one part of the body that they absolutely love. You love your partner's body completely, but you are really attracted to boobs, so you go for the breasts. You're attracted to feet, so you go for the feet. There are those body parts there. Another core erotic feeling is public humiliation. Well, in general, humiliation, but sometimes it can be about being engaged with a peer group, believe it or not. The next one is, and I'm assured everybody, as much as you do not state this, you have thought about it, what it was to be the opposite sex. So just cross-dressing in the clothing. It doesn't mean that you have to be a cross-dresser. You get seen as that opposite sex to understand what they are. It can be a way of being seen as desirable and loosen the reins on someone's otherwise take charge attitude. You'll get an understanding. It works in both directions, that cross-dressing and thing. Pet play. Interesting enough. Role-playing as a dog. Yet literally a pet play. Okay. Maybe someone wanting to be free, to be wild and messy and ferocious. Or be adored for being submissive. Now, core erotic feeling can have immense potential as a tool for communication between partners. It opens up possibilities for your fantasies, the emotions that, come out and propel those fantasies out. So remember this. You want to make those reality, these core erotic feelings, and working through these little kinks like that brings it to the forefront for you to act on them. It isn't just about the act, it's everything that encompasses that act and all the feelings and everything that you want to go within it. It is about really, and I love the way it's put, getting down to the truth of what makes those dynamics so intriguing. What attracts you to that core erotic feeling, that dirty talk, that wild sex? What attracts you to it? What makes you so intrigued to it? On that note, we are going to take our final break in the show. So, completely up to you if you want to get some more to drink. You may just need it because you probably finished up and need to replenish. So please do so. Same thing if you want to get a little nibble, go get a nibble. Other than that, if you want to sit right there, you are relaxed, do so. And I will definitely meet you back here for more sex talk in our final portion of the show with Andra.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. How are you? And welcome back to the final portion of the show today, where we are talking about dirty talk, and how, and into our core erotic feelings, how that dirty talk goes into there. That love language, which is what we all want and desire for the most part. Unless, of course, we are in it just for the sex and there is a mutual agreement between the parties. Your choice. But for the most part, most of us, or most everybody out there, wants that something meaningful. We as human beings desire it. So, a lot of individuals have a preconceived notion of what it is to feel like, and they have been steered down the wrong road. This is where these all come in, and you can steer them down the right road, show them the right way, what things are good. And it's okay to be who you are. It does literally come down to you. Nobody else. You have to make those desires known to your partner or prospective partner, shall I say. You can, for the most time and most part, shall I say, usually the partners actually enjoy the same kind of kink. But there are times where you enjoy the same kind of kinks but for different reasons. And that gives you that actual openness to be able to kind of sort of, maneuver your way. I mean, the example, two people might love or enjoy being tied up in bondage, but one person likes it for the sheer dirtiness and humiliation of it, while the other person enjoys that act of being forced to be consensual. Whereas, like, they can't do anything. They're at the whim of their partner. And it liberates them. And it's, liberating that any sense of guilt or responsibility. So it gets you out there. How you ask yourself, how do you find your core erotic feelings? You really have to uncover why something makes you feel titillating, gets you turned on, and the mere share of wanting to share that with your partner or partners, completely up to you. They are not something that your partners can guess. It's something that you have to say, you have to show, you have to let them know. It's a form of, like, they're not going to figure out what emotional state you're looking for, or you want, or you desire, or you want. And at that moment, you have to do a little bit of your own, personal exploration, coming out and finding out for yourself so that you could portray these to your partner or prospective partner. It is been cued as sexy homework. So you may just have to masturbate to get that. Who knows? It is really your way of finding out why. There is, everybody, or for the most part, I'll be lenient, 95% of that population who want or have or indulge, shall I say, in a kinky, in that kinkiness, in that, that, school girl, naughty student, stern professor role play. And there's a lot of people who are into that, but there are different reasons as to why it turns on one person as opposed to it turns on another. It may just be that the person who enjoys playing, being that submissive student might love and enjoy being demure and subservient in sex. It is playing into a core erotic feeling of being useful or needed. On the opposite end of that, the naughty professor, it is a feeling of exhilaration to exert some kind of control over another person. Just for once, you go to work, you don't have control on work, but you come to your partner, you have that bit of control where you can release. And it is exhilarating. And it's basically getting them to feel that discipline and just breaking them down and quivering and all of that within themselves. Most people want to have that little bit of sense of control during sex. And this is really, in order for it to really be bumped up to the next level of where you want to go. So knowing that, digging deep into your past experiences and fantasies, where you, uncover what these beautiful, delicious pieces of sexuality and sexual desires feels like, you want. Everybody has these thoughts. Don't feel as though, don't say that you don't, because everybody does. You may not bring them out, but you do think of them. You're still not to that point yet where bringing those to the forefront and acting them out is something that you're ready to do yet. You may just find that partner who exhilarates you in that manner where it feels comfortable to let yourself go. That's basically what it is. You may be on your way home or going somewhere, something that you're doing every day. You do this, and it's a turn on for you. Just the scenario that you're in, and it's a turn on in your head. You know that, but you're probably saying to yourself, "Oh, that person probably won't like it." You don't know. This is why we ease in with the dirty talk. This is why we have to dig deep for our core erotic feelings to come out. Again, you need to ask yourself, which fantasies do you play, sexual fantasies do you play over and over again in your head? And then sit down and have, maybe you're just sitting there watching TV one day and you're just having this fun conversation. Put it out there and laugh and joke, or even ask the question of your partner first and say, what are some kinky fantasies that you like? That opens up the door to make you feel more comfortable to go in and actually dig into that core erotic feeling and pull it out and tell them. You may be into porn or erotica, reading the books. That might be a way of you getting it out. You may want to take what's in that book and have, that secret transformative core erotic feeling. It's only, shown or expressed in certain ways. That's what it's all about. Learn what these things are and telling your partner, and the two of you being on the same wavelength sexually, and it brings out some people are much more comfortable with honing into their core erotic feelings and getting those out and showing that kink. There are ways to put it down on paper, create a folder and put it in a private place, like maybe on your phone. They do have vaults now on your phone that you can lock. Nobody else can get into it. That file. Put it on your computer in a vault. But with the phone, you're carrying that around, and unless somebody else has your phone, they are not getting into your phone either way. So you need to sit down and look at them, brainstorm, put these experiences all together where you can figure out what really pings this excitement and get you tantalized through these core erotic feelings. You may want to take something and bring, a scenario that you have as a fantasy, numb it down a bit, play it out, talk with your partner, play it out, and then gradually build it up to that overall core erotic feeling of that fantasy, and getting in that, and acting that out, which really brings that out. And your partner will know. Your partner will feel it. It will get you. It will turn you on more and at a higher. Your body's going to tell them everything that you're saying and doing is going to tell them that, oh, wait a second, this is really what they like. This is what it is. You need to know that this is A-okay. There's an example of, everybody loves the majority of people love the series Game of Thrones. It might be the time period in there. It might be how they use a particular instrument or a bell in there, and where it will just the hearing of that bell turns you on. So you need to know what this is. And pulling you out of the dark ages, really. And that's what it is. And meeting expectations, both your own and your partner's, keeping that going. It's where you want to be in your sexual relationship between the two of you, because that puts you on the right track to, what can I say? Put you on the right track of getting more intimate with one another, bonding, meeting, being able to go beyond that and doing things different. Because once you get to that point and you've brought out that core erotic feeling, that kinky, that, bringing it in, knowing how to dirty talk and moving that in, having those 5 love languages and working on those, and now find that way to incorporate them all, because they all go together to a point where you don't even realize you're doing it. It becomes second nature to you, because that's where you want to be. Because at that point, you can sit down and say, ooh, let's do this now. Let's add this on. Yeah, can we do this differently today? Or can we add this on? Because this is all about learning and finding out what moves you and in what direction, and how you can push that to the limits, because this is how you are. It's not something to be ashamed of. Sex is a natural thing. It has a lot of benefits, as you know. So don't be afraid. There might be that one sex scene in a TV show that you watch all the time, or just that mere, it's going to happen in there because you're watching your 2 favorite characters and you're secretly saying they need to get together. And really, fantasy-wise, you're actually thinking about that in your head because you want that to happen to you. It might be something small, but it might be something you can grow on. So use that. Hey, your partner may come to you and say, you watch that show or whatever, and let's do this. What do they do in there? Oh, make believe it's that. These are where these feelings come from. Now, on that note, I do have to say that this is the end of the show. And as always, please practice safe sex, if not for your partner, for yourself, and vice versa. Also, if you're trying anything new, remember to educate, communicate, and consent between you and your partner. As always, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I ask that you please subscribe to the show and leave an awesome review, because it not only helps me, but it does help the GSMC Podcast Network to know what to bring to their listeners. Also, please do seek us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes, we are there. And please do like us. Also, leave your comments there. Please let us know what you would like to hear on the show. Any topics that you like to hear, please leave them. And again, thank you. And enjoy your day, or please enjoy your sex day or your sex night, wherever you are. Bye-bye until next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.